In today's lecture, we will deal with the transparency of the distributed database management system. First of all, we have already discussed about the transparency. Transparency in the sense of how the data is organized, how data is accessible, it completely hidden to the our client or a user. So now, first, management of a distributed data with the different level of transparency. So here all the data that we are storing in the distributed environment with the various levels of a transparency. This refer to the physical placement of the data. Physical placement of the data, that means how that particular data is saved into the remote locations, though that data may be a files or a relation. But here we are dealing with a relational database management system, so we will deal with a relational, which is not known to the user. So user don't have a knowledge about where our physical data exactly reside. Now the transparency refer to the separation of the higher level semantic of a system from the lower level implementation issues. Okay. So now transparency refer to the separation of higher level in the sense of the data that is visible to the users or a application programmer. They are completely unaware about how the data is physically stored or how exactly stored at a lower level. Now, in the fragmentation, relation is broken into a smaller relation and stored in the different side. So, as we have discussed in the previous lectures, that we are fragmenting a single whole relation into a various or a different number of fragments. Okay. So, once we fragment our one big relation, we will get a smaller number of fragments. Okay. So, that fragment is what? It is broken up into a smaller relation and stored in the different side. Okay, in previous example in map we have seen we are storing our data some in Gujarat server, Maharashtra, Madhya Pradesh or something like that. Okay, so now a fragmentation is design technique to divide a single relation into a two or more partitions such that the combination of a partition provide the original database without loss of information. So this is the most important thing. Here we are fragmenting our whole one single relation into a number of fragments. So when we gather all these fragments, we must have a same relation. That is the condition before fragmenting of that particular relation. So the number of column and number of tuples in the sense of records. So that number of tuples and records should not be changed. And if it changes, that means we have a loss of information. So this should be not happen when we are fragmenting our relation. Generally, a fragment are stored at the site where they are most often accessed. This is the most important thing. This is not to get the data locally. Suppose we are storing our Gujarat customer data at a Gujarat site. Okay. So first of all, whenever the request comes from the Gujarat customer, first it will check that particular customer detail is available into the Gujarat server database or not. Okay, this is known as a locally access of that database. Now, the server replicas of a table may be stored at a different site. As we have discussed, replica is what? It is a cloning of a data. Cloning of a data, that means once a Gujarat server fails, and if we replicate the particular Gujarat data to other site, we will get the same data even in the condition when the Gujarat server is not in the working condition. We cannot combine the fragment and replication. We can combine the fragment and replication. So suppose we want to use the fragmentation as well as we want to replicate that fragment. So both the condition is satisfied with the use of a distributed database management system. The fragment schema is a description of how the data is to be logically partitioned. So in next chapter we will study about the various techniques of the fragmentation. There are three techniques. One is horizontal partitioning scheme, vertical partitioning, and the hybrid of or a combination of horizontal and vertical partitioning. Now, the allocation schema is a description of where the data is to be located, taking account of any replication. So once we partition or once we fragment our database, so we have to provide some physical server to store that particular data. So this thing is known as a allocation schema. Now, the fragment is preferable if locality is to be exploited. Okay. Suppose we have an example. It would be faster for a user in Pune to perform queries at the Pune site, and for the Ahmedabad user to perform queries at the Ahmedabad site. So once we define a fragment, the physical place of fragment should be considered in with respect to that particular location. If suppose a Pune user want to access their data, the data should be reply from the Pune site, not from the Ahmedabad site. Okay, so this is known as a locality. So and if the Ahmedabad user want to access or perform some query, the query should be implemented on the Ahmedabad site. Now, and only when the entire relation is needed, both the site will be accessed. When this condition happens, suppose a manager of particular bank want to get all the customer detail all around from the India. So in that case, the particular data that we need is combination of the various fragments like Gujarat, Madhya Pradesh, Rajasthan, or etc. So in that case, we need to combine whole relations. In this example, suppose manager want to get the data of all the sites, then here data should be come from the Pune as well as from the Ahmedabad. Now data independency. Now data independency means a particular in our centralized database there are three levels of a data independency: logical data, then physical schema, and user view. Okay, so here we are using a distributed database management system. So here we have a database independency or data independence. So what is data independence? So it is a fundamental form of a transparency where a particular level does not depend on the any other level. So data definition occur at a lower level. So once we define our database schema or a data definition, so the schema or a data definition occur at a lower level of the database. At one level, the logical structure of a data are specified, and at the other level, its physical structure. So we have at the lower level we have a physical schema, physical layer structure, then logical structure, and user view. So at the lower level we have a logical structure, and at the last level we have a physical structure. The ability to modify the schema definition in one level without affecting the schema definition in the higher level is called the data independency. This thing is very important, data dependency. Suppose you have already created a particular relation or a table which contains the student ID, student name, and its mobile number. Okay, so now suppose right now I am changing a student mobile number to phone number. What exactly I am doing? I am changing the name of that particular attribute from mobile to the student phone number or any other. So that change should be applied to the logical level. Okay, so once we change at any particular level, okay, so it should not be affect to the any other level. So logical level is a middle level. Okay, so it does not affect the physical level or a user view. So this is the thing is known as a data independency. There are two types of data independency: physical data independency and logical data independency. Now, what is physical data independency? So physical data independency means what? So the ability of the modify the physical schema without causing the application program to be rewrite. So the ability of modify the physical schema without causing the application program to be rewritten. Suppose we make any changes to the physical data or a physical layer, okay, so the thing should not be applied to the particular upper level or a user level. The same user level application should be work as it is without modifying that particular program. So modification at this level are usually to improve the performance, and this physical data independency is what is used for what? So modify at this level are usually improve the performance, because physical level is nothing but a storage level, that may be a hard disk or any other storage device. Now logical data independency. In logical data independency, what we have? In logical data independency, the ability to modify the conceptual schema, that is logical schema, without causing the application program to be rewritten. As I have already told in the previous slide, that suppose I am changing a particular data or a particular attribute, okay, so it should not be reflect or affect the application program, so it should be work as it is. Usually done when the logical structure of a database is altered. When we need to change it the logical level or a conceptual schema, when we usually done when the logical structure of a data is altered. So logical data independence is harder to achieve as the application programs are usually heavily depend on the logical structure of a data. What here we have? It is harder to achieve as the application program are usually heavy depending on the logical structure of a data. So this case is really possible. Which one? A application program to be rewritten, because as we know, when we dealing with a database, we are generally dealing with the table name and its attributes name, that is a column name. So suppose we alter the name of particular column, so and if we are not changing that particular column name to the application program, we will definitely get an error message, okay. So whenever we need to change the logical data structure or a logical schema, we need to make a change into the application program, because the application program is highly dependent on the logical structure. Now below figure we have a various level of transparency. At a lower level where our data is stored, that is at the storage level, it is known as a data or storage. Now data independency, network independency or a transparency, replication transparency, fragment transparency and language transparency. So these are the various levels of a transparency. Now first we will discuss with the network transparency. What exactly a network transparency is? So network transparency means that a distributed DBMS hide all the complexity of a distribution, allowing user to think that they are working with a single centralized database system. So here network transparency in the sense of in distributed database management system, we have a various fragment of the same database. So once a user want to access their data, they doesn't have a knowledge about fragment. They think that my data is located somewhere in the centralized database management system and I am accessing my account information from the same. So DDBMS should be distribution transparent. So the first thing, if you want to create your own distributed database management system, so this thing is important, that distribution transparency or a network transparency. User need not to be aware of how data is fragmented or physical storage location of a fragment. So user do not want or it do not aware about how the data is fragmented, at where physical location that particular fragment is saved. So this is known as a transparency. Two types of distribution transparency is location transparency and naming transparency. First we will discuss with the location transparency. Now location transparency is what? In one location, in location transparency, command used to perform a task is independent of both the location of the data and the system on which an operation is carried out. And second one is, in location transparency, the database may be physically recognized without implementing on the application program that can access. So here when we provide the location transparency, the data may be physically reorganized without implementing on the application program that access them. Now what is the network transparency? So in second transparency, in network transparency is naming transparency. So unique name is provided for each object in the database. So remember one thing, once we fragment our whole database, our large database into a number of fragments, fragment name should be different. A DDBMS must ensure that no two sites create a data object with the same name. So suppose Gujarat server has a database name Gujarat customer, okay. So at a Maharashtra server has a Maharashtra customer or something like that, but it should not be a Gujarat customer. Central name server is used to solve this problem. In center we have a central name server that this will keep the track of which name is already used. So you cannot use the same name twice. So this server has a responsibility for ensuring uniqueness of all the names in the system. The centralized name server keep the record of which names you have already given to your fragments. Replication transparency. In replication transparency, it is closely related to the location replication transparency. So it is closely related to the location transparency. User always unaware of the replication of the fragment. So user don't have a knowledge about where its data is replicated. Suppose Gujarat server data is replicated into the Rajasthan server as well as the Maharashtra server, but user or a customer don't have any knowledge about that, okay. And when this replicated data is used, when the Gujarat server is not in the working condition. At that time, from the secondary server like Rajasthan or Maharashtra, we will get the same data. Next we have a fragmentation transparency. So data can be distributed by storing individual table at a different site. So data can also be distributed by decomposing a table and storing portion of the different site is called the fragmentation. Horizontal fragmentation allows a relation to be partitioned into a disjoint tuple. So once we apply a horizontal partitioning schema or a horizontal fragmentation, what we are exactly doing, we are partitioning our data by tuple wise in the sense of record wise. So that's why record is generally read in a particular horizontal manner. So this is known as a horizontal. In vertical fragmentation, allow a relation to be partitioned into a disjoint set of columns of an attribute except the primary key. In vertical partitioning, we are splitting or fragmenting our table by column wise. It is something like normalization. In normalization, we are splitting one large table into a number of tables by its attribute. Okay, but remember one thing: a primary key should be repeated in each and every table once we use the vertical fragmentation. When database is fragmented, it creates a problem of handling user queries because query is specified on entire relation but have to be executed on a sub-relation. This requires a translation called a global query to several fragment query. Now we have replication transparency. In replication we have example of a distribution transparency. The employee table is divided among 3 locations without replication. So here suppose we have an employee table that is divided into a 3 location and without replication. So we don't have a employee table copy in any other server. Suppose an employee want to find all the employees with the birth date prior to 13 August 1997. So fragmentation transparency and location transparency. In fragmentation transparency we have a query like a select star from employee where employee DOB is 13th August 1970. And location transparency, select star from E1 where employee DOB is less than 13 August 1997. Union, select star from year E2, union select from E3. So in location transparency we are placing the union. Union means all the data from E1 site, E2 site, E3 site or any a number of EN site that will gather all the employee data which has a specified condition, that is 13 August 1997. But in fragmentation transparency we are using only single query, that is there is a no union is used over here. Select star from employee where employee DOB is 13 August 1997. Now keep up to this slide, and in next lecture we will discuss about the next topic, reliability through the distributed transmission.